Hello, everyone. Welcome to BiogasWorld's Brazil and Latin America Focus Month webinar discussing the challenges and opportunities of the biogas and biomethane markets in Latin America. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and will be shared with participants following the webinar. In addition, if you have any questions for our presenters, we invite you to write them in the Q&A tab, and we will ask our presenters following their presentations. Due to a full schedule this morning, we may not have time at the end of the webinar for a full Q&A, but any unanswered questions we will send to our presenters and invite them to answer via the biogas community. BiogasWorld hosts new country focus webinars throughout the year to discuss the opportunities and challenges within various markets. Be sure also to join us on our biogas community website for the latest updates and to network with companies in the biogas and biomethane industry. I would like to thank our presenters for joining us today. Felipe S Marques, Director of Market Strategy and Research at CIBiogas. Jorge Antonio Hilbert, Director and Founder of EEC. Flavia Villela, General Manager at Greenlane Renewables. And Sergio Cruz, General Manager, Latin America at PAC. Since 2016, BiogasWorld has supported the biogas and RNG sectors by offering industry visibility, market insights, and networking opportunities through its BiogasWorld and biogas community platforms. I will now pass the floor over to Felipe S Marques. Felipe is the Director of Market Strategy and Research at CIBiogas. Felipe has 17 years experience on biogas and biomethane market and technology development in Brazil and international cooperation. So I will stop sharing and pass it over to you, Felipe.
Okay, Ryan, thank you. Just making a correction. It's 1 week. I started as CEO at CIBiogas. I changed my position from Market Strategy Director to CEO. It's 1 week ago, and this is the first event that I participate as the CEO at CIBiogas, so it's a pleasure to talk to the world about the Brazilian biogas market and also about the CIBiogas. I will share my screen. Okay. Are you seeing the full screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So at first, I would like to thank the BiogasWorld for the opportunity to talk with the market about Brazil, and also for my colleagues at this webinar for the opportunity to cooperate and collaborate on this important market webinar for the market, biogas market. I will give you some numbers about the Brazilian biogas market. CIBiogas launch every year biogas overview on the Brazilian biogas market. This brings data updated to December 2024. So we identify 1,633 biogas plants in Brazil. Biogas units, so landfills are counted in these numbers. And 248 new biogas plants only in 2024. We reached the number of 4.7 billion cubic meters per year being produced in these biogas plants. Growth only in 2024 of 641 million cubic meters per year. You can see that the Brazilian biogas market is really growing, especially from 2015 to the front up to now. And we can see that in 2020, as the regulatory framework started to be developed and connected with the biogas market, it changed a lot. It's also important to say that when I say regulatory framework, it's not any impulse. There is not today in Brazil. There is no push-up on the biogas, on biomethane. So there is no feeding or any incentive from the government to produce or any price or feeding and anything like that on biogas and biomethane market. this is about to change. I'll explain to you in a few minutes. And today, the majority of the biogas produced in Brazil comes from landfills and wastewater treatment plants, but especially from landfills. And the majority of this biogas produced in landfills goes to electricity. But this is one of the things that is already changing, because there is a lot of landfills that are moving to biomethane, from electricity to biomethane. This is due some changes on technology, and new suppliers in the Brazilian biogas market. I think Flavia will explain a little bit about these possibilities, because there was some I can say difficulties on using biogas from landfills to produce biomethane, but this is already solved with the right technology approach. And we see a lot of biogas being produced also in the industry. This is a market that is really growing in the last 3 years in Brazil. It's the production and use of the biogas at the same place. So a lot of self-consumption. So a biogas not to sell energy or to sell biomethane, but to use biomethane, to use biogas as thermal application, or use biogas to generate electricity inside their own facilities. There's a lot of opportunities here in the industries that they have the substrates to produce the biogas, and they also have the demand on energy. So there's a lot of opportunities that is being really addressed in the last 3 years. And we can see a lot of these also in the agriculture sector, especially in small farms. And we can see that the majority of the biogas from agriculture goes to electricity. And why it happens like that? It's because of safety. We have a lot of growing on the solar market in the whole world, also in Brazil. But solar doesn't mean safety. Doesn't mean it means cost. But biogas means safety. So you can use when it's needed. So a lot of animal protein farms in Brazil, they are using biogas to get safety on their main product, that it's the meat. So just about the numbers I just explained it. The major application of the biogas in Brazil still on electricity. This will change to biomethane in the next years. We can see that these numbers that we can see on biomethane, it's numbers that it really growed in the last 2 to 3 years. I think if biomethane doesn't pass electricity on volume of biogas in 2025, for sure in 2026 will pass electricity application in Brazil, not in the number of plants, but in the volume of biogas usage. And the size of the biogas plants in Brazil, we have a lot of small biogas plants in Brazil. And here I want to talk especially with the suppliers that works with small scale biogas plants. There is a lot of opportunity in the Brazilian biogas market on compression, on treatment, HOS treatment, or also biogas upgrading for small facilities. Small, I'm saying 30 cubic meter per hour or 25 cubic meter per hour, because there is more than a huge number of it's more than 1,000 biogas plants in Brazil that is in small scale. So there is a lot of room for these applications. And we can see that the biogas market is really diverse. And when we see the state in Brazil that produces more biogas, we can see São Paulo, and we can see a huge participation of the landfills. And when you see Rio de Janeiro, the second place on biogas production in Brazil, we see almost only landfills. When we see these two, we can say, okay, in Brazil, the way to produce a lot of biogas, it's landfills. But when we get to the third place, there is Paraná, where we don't have today a lot of biogas. The minor production in biogas and of biogas in Paraná is from landfill. A lot from industry, especially from agro industry, and a lot from agriculture. So the biogas market in Brazil, it's really diverse when you consider the different states. So it's important that for everyone that's looking for the Brazilian biogas market to have this in your mind, because it's truly really different in the different states and regions of the country. So here another approach on this. This is the whole country today. Only 3 states in Brazil doesn't have biogas plants. We can see that there is a lot of places that we have small biogas plants, but we concentrate the majority of the biogas in 4 states. That's Paraná, Minas Gerais, Rio de Janeiro, and São Paulo as the biggest one. And in the biomethane agenda, we identify 79 biomethane units. 54 of them they are running. 24 of them are self-consumption. And in December 24, 18 under authorization, under certification from ANP, the Natural Gas and Petroleum Agency, and 12 authorized, already certificated by the agency. Updated today, it's from 12 to 15 certificated, and from 18 under certification to 37 under authorization. So in a 6 months window, we get more than almost 20 new biogas. It doubled the number of biomethane plants under certification on the agency. So a lot of demand on that in Brazil. This is my last slide. So the Brazilian bio market is growing organically. So we don't have truly a regulatory support or a push-up. This scenario will change in January 2026 with the regulation of the future fuels law. It's the first time we will have a mandate for the natural gas producers and importers to have biomethane. The certificate market becomes even more important for the sector. Globally, we need to consider the GHG protocol as a bottleneck for significant advances in business with the biomethane-related certificates. We are waiting too long to have the updated standards from GHG. The partnerships between foreigner and Brazilian companies have generated significant business in the Brazilian biogas market. If you are a supplier from outside, look for Brazilian partners to get in the Brazilian market. And my last suggestion, take advantage of major biogas events in Brazil. There is 2 that happens in the country. In the first semester, the South Region Forum, and in the second semester, the National Forum in São Paulo that will be held September 2nd and 3rd here in São Paulo. Thank you, guys. I'm available for questions if you have anyone.
Thank you for your presentation, Felipe. Maybe one quick question before we continue. So what would you consider as the biggest difference comparing the Brazilian biogas market with other countries?
The main thing that we are not we don't have a regulatory framework that pushes the biogas market to the biomethane market. The business on biomethane, they really has to make a lot of sense. It's a Davi and Goliath work here, because it's biomethane competing with diesel that is subsidized, or competing with natural gas that's subsidized. So a non-subsidized green fuel competing with a subsidized fossil fuel. That's the war here in Brazil, but there is a lot of winnings. So Flavia wins a lot of it. Sergio wins some of it. So we are make things happen as the regulatory framework. It's better. A lot of biomethane will be unlocked here in Brazil in the next years.
Great, thank you again for your presentation. As a reminder for the audience, if there are additional questions for Felipe, please type them into the Q&A and we'll send them to him following the webinar. Next, we have Jorge Antonio Hilbert. Jorge Hilbert is currently the Director of Energy and Environmental Consulting Services. He has been working in the biogas research and extension sector all over the world for more than 40 years, leading several international organizations. Author of more than 80 research and 2 technical papers and 7 books. Jorge, I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, thank you for the invitation to present the Argentine reality in the biogas sector. As it was mentioned, I started at the National Institute of Agriculture long ago, giving my first lectures. There you see our first manuals and our first demonstrative plants in different countries in South America. I'm presently director of the Energy and Environmental Consulting Services. We do services on environmental issues and biogas deployment in the country. Okay, getting into the subject, we see there the electric matrix of Argentina. It's half thermic, depending on fossil fuels, and you have nuclear and renewable energies. There appears in the map with a very small slice biogas with 0.3% of participation. Within the total renewable energy coverage in Argentina, it's around 2.2% of biogas, sharing with solar and the wind energy. That's that has been growing very fast. We have 2 mandatory laws here with a target of 20% of renewable energy for 2025. We are nearly reaching 17% this year, going ahead to that to follow that target. Regarding the competence of biomethane regarding natural gas in Argentina, we have a huge shale gas and shale oil reserves, and those are the prices. Here, the present price in 2024, imported and national. Regarding the electric energy production, we have a mean cost in Argentina of around $60 per megawatt, and there is a subsidy in the renewable energy calls, and the mean value that biogas is paying is around $140 per megawatt. Presently, we have a libertarian administration here in the country, where it's moving to the minimum government regulation, no subsidies, minimum interventions, and technologies and business have to compete in a free and open market. They are looking as principal target cutting costs and balance the national budget. Biogas sector in Argentina, we have around 80 plants, not considering feeds, only considering the industrial plants that are around 28 with a capacity of 651 megawatt of electric generation. That's around 370,000 cubic meters of natural gas, equivalent natural gas per year, and 24 under construction and under the last renewable energy called REN-MDI, that plans 30 megawatts to be in operation in 2026. These are the types of plants you see all over the country. They are European style, high tech, and we have around 5 national companies that, together with European companies, are responsible for the construction and, in some cases, operation of the plants. Regarding feedstocks, you have agricultural residues and also agro-industrial residues and animal residues. All those combine in different plants, covering mainly the central part of the country. Regarding the renewable electricity production, the last year we have around 1,300 gigawatts that are being produced in the biogas plants with the incentive of that price I already mentioned. Regarding the potential on feedstock and residues and in the country, you see there we have several GIS studies looking for the amount of residues and the potential of biogas in the country. Around 360,000 TEP is the overall total potential. So there is no concerns regarding the material and the availability of that material in the country. The present call undergoing now covers all regions of the country. Per technology is around 30 megawatt, and the power ranges between 0.5 and 20 megawatt. There is a price competition, and it's a 15-year contract in US dollars, and we have a construction phase of 4 plus 1 year, and the plants has no dispatch priority. This is the growth on the last years of the biogas electric energy contribution in Argentina. As I mentioned before, we are reaching 500 gigawatts of production. There are also some plants at the agriculture sector or at the agro-industrial sector that they are looking for circular economy concepts, looking at small-scale bioethanol plants and big-scale bioethanol plants working together with feedlots and biogas plants. That's why we've been studying those systems at a different level in the last 2 years. You see there the bioethanol plant, the biorefinery connected with the biogas plants, and you see blue and red arrows coming back into the distillery. That's thermal energy and electrical energy feeding back. And our aim is how to see the numbers and the effect of the synergy between the biogas plants in biorefineries. There you see the impact in the bioethanol carbon footprint savings, carbon footprint and savings in grams of CO2 per megajoule. That's very important for the export market that is asking for further and further greater greenhouse reductions. So we are lowering from 30 to around 24, depending on the different scenarios we being studied. Some converting directly into biomethane and feeding the heat production in the biorefinery by methane, and the other one using electricity and the recovery of thermal energy. We also been studying the footprint and the reduction of emission, comparing with the national grid system and the thermal energy production, and we are reaching carbon neutrality in those plants. Nearly 99% of greenhouse reductions in those plants. Now we are heading and looking to be carbon negative. That's the greatest challenge we are facing now. We have a huge opportunity there of collecting carbon on soils, and we are giving this new picture for farmers. Now farmers are CO2 collectors and harvesters, and we in the biogas sector, we have to ask ourselves, how can biogas help achieving this goal, to collect more CO2 from the atmosphere. Okay, that's my presentation. You have there our networks. You can download from there the different studies I mentioned. They are free. You are free to do so, and you can also make different visits to several plants. We call them virtual visits with the owners of the plants and the technical staff that are operating them. So I invite you to go deeper into the biogas world in Argentina. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation, Jorge. One question before we move on. So which is the biggest challenge biogas is facing in the next 10 years, do you think?
I think the biggest challenge biogas is facing, not only in Argentina, but all over the world, is that the feed-in tariffs are soon dying or becoming more and more low. So you have to compete and make the system profitable. And we see a great opportunity in digestate and the post-treatment of digestate to obtain different types of fertilizers, not just spreading the digestate over the field, but really putting more technology and also capturing this carbon that is in the digestate into the soil and make possible profit from it into the farming sector.
Great, thank you. Thank you again for your presentation. If there are any additional questions, please type them in the Q&A and we'll share them following the webinar. Next, we have Flavia Villela Granato. Flavia is senior executive with over 25 years of experience in commercial strategy and sales in the energy and biofuel sectors. With degrees in economics and 2 MBAs, FGV and Villanova University, Florida, she has led high-performing teams in multinational companies, driving growth, market expansion, and strategic partnerships. Outside of work, she enjoys sports, reading, traveling with her family, and caring for her 2 dogs. Flavia, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for BiogasWorld and for the opportunity to talk. Thank you to my friends here, Felipe, Sergio, Jorge, to take the opportunity to talk about biogas in Brazil and Latin America. I think Felipe talked a lot about the biogas in Brazil, and also Jorge talked about the biogas in Argentina. So what I want to show and share my screen here first. So my goal is to talk a little bit more about the biogas overall in Latin America. And I just want to introduce a little bit of Greenlane first. So Greenlane is a pioneer and one of the leaders in biogas upgrading and desulfurization. So we have around 355 sites operating and delivered in 28 countries. And our goal is to bring and add value to our customers, bring innovation and sustainable energy. So that's what we want, and it's our goal, and where we think we add value. So talking about the key markets, so as they mentioned, so Brazil, it's the hugest market, in Latin America. So we have some advanced areas in terms of regulations. We have a strong feedstock. So as Felipe mentioned, we have the landfills, which are the more mature market nowadays, but we have a huge market in sugarcane. We have about 400 sugar mills in Brazil. So it's a huge industry. We have also the swine, manure, dairy, all this that is starting now. So in terms of regulations, as I mentioned, we have some, we are still in the early stage. We have to improve a lot, but that's where we are. And our goal, my view is that our goal is to use all of this biomethane that it's starting now to compete with the diesel, as Felipe mentioned. So that's where I see the main opportunity, let's say this way. So in terms of other markets, and we see and we are also exploring Mexico. Mexico has also huge landfills where they already have some of them with the power generation. And we also see Argentina, as Jorge explained very well. So they have a high agro-industry. They have a lot of potential there. The main of this is now using power generation, right? So, but they also have the availability of the natural gas, which this can also compete with the biogas. So using this for power generation there makes a lot of sense, but we can also use as renewable natural gas. For Chile, we see a lot of opportunity also because they are in energy transition. They have some policies, they are in advanced phase with hydrogen and all that. So we can see a lot of opportunities in landfills, in agriculture also. And in Colombia, we also had some residues, like agro residues, like coffee, oil palm, and there is other livestock that we can use as the residues for the biomethane. So we see a lot of opportunities and good opportunities on this too. So overall, in Latin America, what I can say is that the regional trends is that replacement of diesel, as I mentioned, there is a lot of starting in early stages on terms of regulatory framework. So we see here in Brazil, we also see some opportunities and some discussions on the regulatory frameworks in Colombia and Chile, but it's also always in early stages. One of the things that we are also seeing in those countries are that we are starting to establish a financial structure and investments on those kind of projects because to the stability that Felipe mentioned very well. So this kind of thing, and Jorge also mentioned that we have this stability with the biogas and thermal sites. So this kind of thing that is also improves our the visibility of the projects. And also in terms of the strategy, all we are seeing everywhere ESG strategies and growing. Everybody wants to be carbon zero, carbon neutral. So this kind of thing, it's also very important, right? So talking about this kind of opportunity, as I mentioned, we are talking about Latin America, where we have a strong growth trajectory. So if we talk about the numbers, the figures in Brazil and actually in Latin America, is we have $3.75 billion in this market for 2023. We can see a growth to 5.8 in 2030. So that's the growth that we will see in the upcoming years. So we see the municipal waste, so landfills, as we saw in the biogas power generation in Brazil. You will see as the more mature market where you see the kind of projects that we're starting, but in other hands, we are also seeing agriculture projects coming. And we are also seeing a lot of circular biofactories. We want the factories, the industry that wants to be carbon neutral. They are looking for this circular economy. So this is something that we can see. And there is another opportunity that I want to bring is that the sargassums from the novel feedstock, especially in the Caribbean area. It's something that in the future, I see that this is a potential market also for the biogas and the biomethane market. So some challenges in Latin America, because we are Latin America, we do have a lot of challenges, right? So the first one that I see is the regulatory gaps. So we are still not there. Even in Brazil, where we have the law that was approved last year, we still have a lot to grow and lots to fight for. And as Felipe mentioned, we don't have any kind of benefits like we see in more mature markets like Canada, for example. We see that they have some benefits and then they have to pay a premium for the renewable natural gas. We don't see this kind of thing. So we have really to compete with the fossil natural gas and with the diesel, right? So we see a lot of bureaucratic things. So we see a lot of, still see some very complex structure in terms of licensing, ambiental licensing, or even the ANP process takes a lot of time, and there is a lot of things that we can improve, right? So we see overall in all of the countries of Latin America, infrastructure constraints. So we do not have pipelines. We do not have the grid in our close to the main areas. So we see this is a challenge. It's also an opportunity, but it's a challenge if we think about that, how we will bring all of this gas or this energy to the main cities, right? So we still have some financial risks. So we see a lot of challenges in terms of getting benefits and getting funds and financing for the projects. We have, like, for example, BNDES. We have some financing, but very limited in terms of opportunities that can support those kind of projects. And one of the things that we also have as opportunity, we need to see what else we can do to make a project viable. So we need to structure well the projects to make these projects very viable and sustainable for a long term. So I put here some reference of Greenlane. So as I mentioned, Greenlane is a pioneer in the country of Brazil. It's also a pioneer in Colombia. So I brought some of the sites for you to see that is viable. There is this first site that is Dois Arcos. It's the first commercial plant in Brazil. It started in 2014. Is running 18,000 cubic meters per day. It's a water wash technology, and it's operating 70,000 hours until now. So it's a site that is consolidated. It's running for almost 11 years, and it's running well. And actually, they were expanded 1 year ago. So we also have this Eco-Urbis, the site of Sapopemba, very close to São Paulo city, where we have 30,000, and it's a water wash technology that actually this site, they have a combination of technologies. It's operating 14,000 hours, and it's running since 2021. So then we have this first sugarcane plant. Yes.
You're just approaching the end of your time here. Could you move through?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, no worries. So these are some of the opportunities that we have, and so some of the cases that I can talk later. We will also share the presentation. I believe that we can also explain something about these opportunities and these case studies that we have. and we have in sugar canes, and we have one in Colombia that it's here, but I can also give some more information in case it's needed. What I want to also explain is that we have some more new technology. I saw one of the questions, it's regards to the technologies, right? So Greenlane is agnostic in terms of technology. We change the technology and despite of the project and the reality of the projects. But what I want to show you is that we do have nowadays, we as the industry have a purification as an upgrading technology for main feedstocks. So I believe that the market is getting there in terms of the industry of the upgrading and the sulfurization. And I invite all to meet us on the Forum of Biogas in early September, as Felipe mentioned. And that's it. Sorry, I don't want to change the time here.
That's all right. Thank you. We'll do one quick question before we move into our last presentation. Yes. So looking at, in your experience, a typical biomethane project in Latin America and Brazil, how long is the development, studies, construction until commissioning from start to finish?
Okay. Oh, thanks for the question. So normally we are talking about 2 years from the structuring of the project to the COD, right? So the commissioning startup of the plant. So that's overall what I see as my experience.
Great. Thank you. Thank you again for your presentation. And as a reminder, if there are additional questions, please write them in the Q&A. Next, we have Sergio Cruz. Sergio has a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Texas at Austin and has acted as the managing director of PAC Brazil since 2011. Sergio, the floor is yours.
Okay. Can you all see my screen? Presentation mode?
Yes.
Oh, great. I'm improving then. Well, thank you, BiogasWorld, for the opportunity. As mentioned, I'm Sergio. I'm the general manager for PAC Latin America. We've been in Brazil since 1986, and then through a partner, and then directly with our own unit here, built in 2011. So we've been around for quite some time in Latin America. PAC is part of the Skill and Water Group. It's a group of 14 companies, over 6,000 people all over the world. And we do water treatment, wastewater treatment, processed water, ultra pure water, technology development, chemicals for water and wastewater. So here are some of the companies in the group. For you guys in North America, you probably know Ovivo. Ovivo is part of the Skill and Water Group, and PAC is also part of this group. PAC was founded in the Netherlands back in 1960, and we have 6 units, each unit taking care of a certain region. So we have Netherlands, we have United States, we have a team there, sales, services, engineering, project management. They can deliver turnkey projects in the United States. We have China, India, Kuala Lumpur for the Southeast Asia, and we're here in Brazil. We do Latin America. What we are very good at is anaerobic wastewater treatment. And of course, since the anaerobic process generates biogas, we also got into the whole biogas, biomethane world, because this is kind of a consequence of the anaerobic process. We have built over 1,800 anaerobic reactors all over the world. I think there are about 270 here in Latin America. And as we grew, we also developed the desulfurization technology to remove H2S from the biogas. We still don't do any CO2 removal, so we can generate the gas via anaerobic reactors, and we can remove the H2S via our TIOPAC technology. Here are some projects very quickly that we've done. This is Mexico for the wastewater treatment of tequila production wastewater. This is in Thailand, ethanol production. This is Brazil. It's a corn ethanol plant. This is in the Netherlands, chicken manure digestion, generates biomethane, generates electricity. This is Brazil. It's desulfurization at an ethanol production facility. This is also Brazil, another ethanol production facility. We deliver the desulfurization. This is Puerto Rico, a rum production facility. We also deliver the desulfurization unit. This is Chile, a sludge digestion at a municipal wastewater treatment plant. We've supplied the desulfurization unit as well. And so this is, in a nutshell, a few projects we've done in Brazil. We've done, I think, over 300 projects in Latin America. So there's a lot to show. But basically, I mean, what we're here for is to talk about the opportunities. And I'm going to focus more in Brazil because that's pretty much 80% of our business. First, I want to talk about the market. Although my colleagues have talked, they pretty much shown everything. So I have very little to add. But basically, the market, as mentioned by Felipe, the potential is, I converted to cubic feet per year to facilitate for you guys in North America, because cubic meters per hour is a little complicated, I understand. So the potential in Brazil is about 2 trillion cubic feet per year. And as mentioned by Felipe again, he said we do about 4.7 billion, which is about 100 billion cubic feet produced. So we have done so far only 5% of our total potential. So there's a lot of room to grow. Mostly about 50% of this is done via ethanol mills. We have, I mean, the biggest projects in Brazil are sugarcane ethanol mills, and they have the vinhaça, which is kind of the byproduct of sugarcane production, of ethanol production. And they use the vinhaça to generate biogas, and then H2S removal, and then CO2 removal to biomethane. Although, as mentioned again by Felipe, we have over 1,600 plants in Brazil. There are only 14 plants that are authorized to sell biomethane. That the biomethane is within the regulations that you can sell it to replace natural gas. Another very particular characteristic of Brazil is that the most projects are built and ran by the owner themselves. There are very few intermediate partners. I mean, I've worked for 3 years with our team in the United States, and the business model is just different. In the United States, you have someone operating other than the owner, let's say, and you have a lot of people in between. In Brazil, basically, you sell your plant, you sell the technology to the owner themselves, and you deliver most of the time turnkey. There's less intermediate between you and the owner of the plant, and usually the owner runs the plant themselves. As I mentioned, the biggest projects are in the ethanol distilleries because biogas production is a combination of the amount of whatever you're going to generate it from, and the COD. And vinhaça is a very good source because you always have very high flows and you always have high COD. COD of vinhaça is over 30,000. Sometimes you get to 100,000 milligrams per liter. And the flows of an average plant is about 200 cubic meters per hour. So a regular ethanol distillery will generate about 5,000 cubic meters per hour of biogas. The issue here is that the distilleries are seasonal. What do I mean by that? They run from April to October. So you have 4 months in the year that they don't run, so you don't produce. Now what they're doing to overcome that is to generate biogas and biomethane from filter cake. The filter cake is a quite solid residue from the ethanol production as well. So what these guys are doing is that they're storing the filter cake and digesting it during the off season to produce biogas and biomethane during those four months that the distillery is not operating. Differently from the United States, we don't have basically any significant biogas, biomethane production from cattle. We see in the United States that the dairies are very big, and a lot of biomethane is generated from the dairies, from the farms, the milk farms. In Brazil, this is still not the case. Oh, sorry. And in addition, chicken and pig farms are also very small here in Brazil, so you don't see a lot of generation from them as well. Sludge digestion, there's quite a big opportunity here, but also we see very little there, mostly because most municipal wastewater treatment plants are state-owned. So it's very difficult for you to generate a project there. It has to go through a whole process of either a concession or a tender process, so it doesn't happen. Finally, landfills are quite independent. Also not as big as in the US. Another interesting characteristic is that, also differently from the US, our landfills here are very low on H2S because of the nature of the what they accept, the kind of garbage they accept. There are very little there's little opportunities here for desulfurization in landfills. Only a few have H2S high enough to that they would need H2S removal. So it's directly you generate it, you upgrade it, remove CO2, and that's it. So basically, the two main points I want to leave here from this slide is that there is a lot of potential, not a whole lot done. The biggest growth we're going to see are from the ethanol distilleries, sugar and ethanol distilleries. For sure, these are the guys that are investing a lot on biomethane project. And by the way, we talk biogas, but mostly there is very little projects that are driving to the biogas to generate electricity because it's not as feasible as going to biomethane. Electricity in Brazil is very cheap. Most of our matrix, as explained by Felipe again, is hydraulic. So we generate electricity mostly from rivers, so that's very cheap. So if you want to do a project to generate biogas for electricity, it's probably not going to pay off. So you have to go to biomethane, either inject it in the grid or use it as a fuel for your fleet.
Sorry,
and then
Sergio.
finally, what do I see as the challenges, and what do I see as the opportunities for this market here?
Sorry,
Well,
Sergio, could you,
yes,
you're just approaching the end of your time here. Could you quickly move through this last
sure.
slide?
This is my last slide. First, if you want to supply equipment or technologies to the Brazilian market, you got to be aware that import duties here are very high, and logistics costs are very high. So if you want to be here, you need to find a partner in Brazil, or you need to establish your operation here. As I mentioned, the cost of energy in Brazil is very low, so going to electricity, biogas for electricity does not pay off. No subsidies yet, but this is starting. We have a new law that was passed last year called Fuel of the Future that will bring a lot of very interesting opportunities. The natural gas grid here is ridiculous. It's very, very small, very concentrated. So if you're far away, you're not going to have a grid to inject your biomethane. So that's a big problem. The electricity distribution grid is also an issue. You have big cow farms, for instance, cattle farms with 40,000 up to 80,000 cows, but they're in a place where you don't have a grid. So it's very difficult to put up a project there. Maintenance and operation at state-owned facilities is poor. and financing is difficult. High interest rates in Brazil, our basic interest rate now is about 15% a year. So that makes it difficult for financing of projects. The good things, well, Brazil has always been green. We have been running our cars in ethanol for the last 50 years. We have a very high percentage of our energy that's generated from renewable sources. We're very not self-sufficient on natural gas. We import natural gas, so biomethane to replace natural gas will play a big role here. We have a good diversity of feedstock, especially agricultural feedstock. We don't have a lot of local technologies, so if you have good technologies, I think there are opportunities here. Manure market is untapped. Activated sludge market is untapped. Mostly, we're doing landfills and we're doing ethanol distilleries as sources for the gas. As mentioned already, we currently generate 5% of the potential. There are a few biomethane calls out, so we're starting to see government and companies issue biomethane calls saying that they will buy your biomethane if the conditions are right. And the few other future law was passed, as I mentioned. So we see things starting to happen for the future. So I'm very positive about the market in the next few years. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for the opportunity again. Here's my email address. In the United States for North America, this is my colleague Timur. He's the general manager of North America. That's his email. So if you need anything in the US or Canada, just get in touch with him. And thanks again for the opportunity. You can contact me at any time if you need additional information. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Sergio. And before we do our wrap up, maybe if you could quickly cover, or if I could ask a quick question, what advice might you give to a company that wants to supply equipment in the Brazilian market?
Yeah, first I would recommend you find a partner here because you're going to need people to assemble it. You're going to need people to do the other equipment, the post-treatment, pre-treatment, piping, electrical automation. So find a partner, assembling especially. Second, at some point, it would be interesting to produce at least part of the equipment here. Otherwise, because of the import duties, because of the exchange rate, you end up being too expensive if you want to just export a complete skid into Brazil.
Great, thank you. And as we approach the end of the hour, I apologize for going over, but maybe we'll do a concluding thought from each of our panelists here today. So I'll follow the order we presented in. Felipe, maybe a concluding thought.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Really good insights about Latin America here. We can see that there is a lot of opportunities untapped, still in Brazil and a lot of in Argentina also. And two key things for anyone that's considering the biogas, the Brazilian biogas market or the Latin America market: connect with national companies, national associations, and biogas clubs. So we have a business club on CIBiogas. It's pretty good. We cooperate with BiogasWorld also. Connections makes things fast and more assertive. So if I have to say something to you that's coming to Brazil or Latin America, connect first, make the right decisions, and let's do it. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Felipe. Jorge.
No, I had I see that one of the most interesting phenomena happening in the world is the cap and trade system as Renewables in Brazil. And I see that biomethane has a lot to give in that sort, because the emission of all biogas products is really very low, reaching carbon neutrality or even can achieve carbon negative. So I see there a wonderful opportunity for the biogas sector. I also agree regarding the complexity of maintaining electric energy, because we are losing 50% of the energy into the atmosphere first of all, and you have very cheap electrical sources in most of the countries of Latin America. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Flavia.
Okay, so talking about opportunities and challenges. I'm very enthusiastic about the Latin American market. I've been in market at least almost 10 years. And what I can say and is that it's a great market. It's still in early stages, as I mentioned several times. So it's a lot of opportunities. Of course, there is some challenges, but every challenge comes with an opportunity to grow. I agree with what Sergio mentioned about having a partner, having some local guidance. It's very important and needs to be locally. So what I can say is that if you want to grow in the country, you need to be there. You need to establish the organization or work with a partner that can support you. In this case, we have like CIBiogas, that is a great asset for us to start. So I think it's plenty of opportunities. That's all I would say.
Great, thank you. And finally, Sergio.
Yeah, well, I think one point that I would like to add that we didn't mention much is that I think to make it feasible, you need to add value. So biomethane is just part of the game, but you need to add value with the digestate, for instance. The digestate can become a very interesting source of income as a fertilizer. So if there are companies out there that do that, I think we need, we don't have a lot of that here in Brazil. So how do you generate value from the digestate? How do you generate value from the CO2? I mean, there's a lot of money in the CO2. Jorge mentioned that, but the CO2 is also very valuable here, and the amount you get for a ton of CO2 is very considerable, and that will help your project to become feasible financially. So think beyond the biomethane to adding value to your, to your proposal.
Great, thank you. So that concludes our time today. As a reminder, the webinar recording will be shared with participants next week. We will share any questions in the Q&A with our presenters and invite them to send a response via the biogas community. We invite everybody to join us on our biogas community platform to stay up to date and view content from our Brazil and Latin America Biogas Focus Month and to participate in our coming Focus Months. I'd like to thank everyone again for taking the time to join us today, and thank our presenters Felipe S Marques with CIBiogas, Jorge Antonio Hilbert with EEC, Flavia Villela with Greenlane Renewables, and Sergio Cruz with PAC. Thank you all.